Aloha, good morning, shalom. I don't know, in Brazil, obrigado, obrigado I think is thank you, but welcome everyone to our Safe for Tourism, Rebuilding Tourism session this morning. We have a very interesting audience from all corners of the world, and today we're dealing with what is probably the most important part in the fight of COVID, is how to deal with COVID from a safety and security standpoint. And we have the right guests, I think, joining us today. And I think hopefully it'll result in a lot of questions and answers. And we're all excited about it. Before we start, just to go over real quick, everyone is now muted. But when you speak, you can just unmute yourself and keep yourself muted when you're not speaking, what avoids background noise for everyone else. As always, our sessions are interactive. So if you click on chat or on participants, you see a blue button to raise your hand. You don't manually raise your hand because we don't really look at the pictures, but just raise your hand electronically. And then we know that you have something to say, and we give you the opportunity to do this as soon as possible. Lastly, for those that are not yet registered on rebuilding.travel, you can do so. There is no charge, so we can actually keep you in our discussion for the future. And anyone who is in business, who represents a destination or a hotel or a business, we just yesterday started our Safer Tourism Seal. You can go to safertourismseal.com and get your own seal. It's also, there's a complimentary version available, safertourismseal.com, and be one of our seal holder. And that allows us also to let the world know that you're part of our discussion. Before I give over to my partner, Peter Tarlow, I also like to recognize and welcome many of the faces that are joining us, and specifically one of our most loyal co-participants is Alexandra Gardicevic, and I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong, from Montenegro, and she represents us actually in the Balkan region. Thanks again for attending. I know you've been on our event yesterday, and it's always great to have you, Alexandra. Without further ado, I'd like to give the lead for the security and safety session completely to my partner, Peter Tarlow. He's the expert in travel and security, and he knows the right format and the right questions. And I understand the hurricane didn't catch him this morning, so he's safe in Texas. Good morning or good afternoon, Peter. You have to unmute yourself.
I know. Okay. Good morning to everybody, or good afternoon. I like to just say good, and you can add good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Boa tarde in Brazil. Boa noite if you're in Portugal. Shalom if you're in Israel. Dobar dan to Alexandra. So I think we probably hit bonjour if we missed anybody in French. So we'll try to get to everyone. Normally, when we have been speaking about tourism security, we have not talked about the technical parts. We've often spoken about policy, about sometimes the interaction between police and security. We've spoken about the need for developing good tourism logic, or even a tourism philosophy when it comes to security. But we have really neglected, and today's session is about exactly what we have neglected. We've neglected to a great extent the technology that's needed to make tourism security work. And so this is really a very important session for us. I'm going to start by introducing my friend, Ron Gertner, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his work. He has brought a number of friends with him from Sri Lanka, from Brazil, from other people from Israel. Then I will interrupt as needed to try to create questions. But the whole concept of developing functioning technology when it comes to tourism and tourism security is very important. In reality, the word we often use is not security. We use the word surety. And maturity is the point where health, reputation, and a good example of that. We've seen how, because of the failure in the public health sector, we've had to close down. Juergen has mentioned about the fact that he's in Hawaii and they're now closing down, I guess, tomorrow for 2 weeks. And that's going to create a whole new set of economic problems and et cetera. I was on the phone today with Santa Catarina in southern Brazil, where I work with one of the universities, and dealing with some of the challenges that Brazil has had because of the COVID outbreak. So we're seeing this throughout the world. It doesn't matter if you're in Europe, Asia, Africa. Both Juergen and I are part of the African Tourism Board, and we spend a lot of time talking about issues of how health is now interrelating with tourism security. So having said that, I don't want to take up too much of Ron's time, but I will kind of allow him for questions and add new areas and ideas. But Ron, why don't you start? Tell us a little bit about who you are, introduce yourself, and then introduce your colleagues, and then we'll go from there. So Ron, you have to unmute yourself. So unmute.
Okay.
There you
Thank
go.
you very much, Peter. Thank you, Juergen. And I can say good night from Israel. We are almost here. It's 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. And I'm in the office with my colleague, Roy, the co-CEO of MTS. Few words about myself. I retired from the Israeli National Police after 40 years of service. And we actually have today this company, MTS Modern Security. And in the regular time, we are doing different things like a lot of people here. But during the Corona time, we do special things, including concept and technologies for dealing with Corona. So for this issue, I would like to represent my co-CEO, my colleague, Roy Berry. He's a colonel. He will introduce himself. He will tell you a little bit about the concept that we developed, how to deal with the Corona and the pandemics all over the world. And then I will explain a little bit about the products. And when we will talk about the products, I would like to introduce you some of our partnerships, our friends from Brazil and from Sri Lanka. And we will introduce them when we will talk about the Corona products. So Roy, my colleague, please.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Ron said, I'm the co-CEO in MTS company. I retired from the Israeli army after 28 years of service as a colonel. My last position was in the Israeli HFC, Home Front Command, dealing with emergency events such as earthquake, tsunami, pandemic, war in case of Israel, and I'm still doing reserve, specifically more than 70 days this year, dealing with the Corona, with the COVID-19 here in Israel. What I will speak about is generally how we're gonna secure a facility during the COVID-19 event. And I will speak only about the concept, and then I pass it over to Ron, and he will dive into details regarding the products that will support the concept that I'm going to speak about. So first of all, I want to explain that in Israel, in the national level, we work in what we call the traffic light concept, meaning we are giving colors, red, yellow, and green, to cities, facilities, places, according to the amount of people that infected from the COVID-19. For instance, in Israel today, we have more than 10 cities in color red, meaning they're under lockdown, they're taken care of by the HFC, from blood test, security area, controlling the people that are getting out and in to the city. So this is in the national level. I will not speak about the national level too much because I understand you spoke about it yesterday. But when we dive into facilities such as entry points to the country, airports, seaports, etc., when we speak about hotels, theaters, stadiums, buildings, and other places, we're going to deal with those facilities in what we call the security layers. And I will start with the entry point to the place. We are detecting the people once they're getting inside the facility. It can be a building, as I spoke before, hotel, stadium, and other facilities. And we do it by testing the body heat. There are different products to do that. Ron will speak about it. The second layer, so as I said, by the heat of the people, we are detecting if they are infected from the COVID-19 or not. The second layer is we can sterilize the people once they're getting inside the facilities. We're doing it, for instance, with a sterilization tunnel, meaning the people getting inside the facility, and they're doing it while getting into a tunnel that they're getting sterilized inside the tunnel. Ron will speak about it afterwards. Once the people getting inside the facilities, we have different technologies that we can monitor all the people that getting inside the facilities. It can be by cyber capability. It can be by other technology. As I spoke before, Ron will explain about those technology afterwards. So I spoke about the entry points, checking the heat of the people, sterilize them once they're getting inside the facility, then monitor them.
When you say, let me just help you a bit, you don't mean sterilize, you mean disinfect.
Disinfect, okay.
Yes.
Thank you for the correction.
There's a very different meaning in the English word. Sterilize means you lose your right to be a man, and you no longer can have children. So you're not doing that. You're just you're disinfecting them.
We can do that also if they want to volunteer.
Yeah, but most people would rather be disinfected than sterilized.
Yeah, okay, got that. So I was speak about monitor them, and once the event is done, like the show is over, the soccer game is done, the football game, baseball, whatever, we can sterilize the place, especially disinfect the place by technology of Ozone, that we can disinfect especially closed area. So once the event is done, we can clean up the place totally, 100% clean it off, and it's ready to the next event. So to summarize or to wrap it up, we're speaking about layers. Detect the people before they get inside the facility, disinfect them once they're getting inside, monitor them inside the facility, and then clean up the facility once the event, the show is over. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron, you are going to, we'll pass it back to you, and you're going to speak a little bit about some of the ideas that you have come up with, and then introduce maybe some of your colleagues also.
Yeah, okay, so thank you. First of all, as Roy said, we actually look for a holistic solution, because we understand we cannot, control the COVID-19 or another pandemic in 100%. But actually, we can reduce the risk for getting infected inside the facility. And another thing, we don't want to send everyone to quarantine if someone is sick inside. So those technology, actually, that I will now explain a little more deep on each one of them, helps us to live under this situation, because we understand that the COVID-19 or maybe other viruses are here to stay. Maybe in the winter it will become again. I can tell you that in Israel we passed very, very good the first wave, and now we are not in a good situation regarding the second wave. And you can ask me, okay, you have the technologies. I can tell you that I believe 100% that if in the national level they will adopt all of those technologies that I'm going to tell you about, the situation in Israel will be very, very good. But as you know, we are in process. We do a lot of POCs now with a lot of governmental agencies and hospitals and the hotels to implement those solutions that I'm going to talk about. So I will start in the first one, and I'm talking now about the national level. We have some technologies to track the people. We call it tracking devices. Basically, they are working on the cell phones, and they give you the geolocation of each personnel in the country. So as I told you, because this can be a violation of privacy, this technology used only by governmental agencies, only by the law, under regulation, and we activated all the time to locate the people, but only after one of the people is infected and sick, then the governmental agency can actually go backwards 14 days and see which other persons were in connection below 2 meters, more than 15 minutes. So they have all of the specifications, and then the people that will be surrounding these personnel for the last 2 weeks will get a call from the Ministry of Health, and they will say to him, look, you stood near to sick people. Now only those people will go to quarantine. The main problem with this system is regarding privacy. So other Israeli companies actually developed other devices that we call them biocontact. What is the biocontact? The biocontact is actually a device that activate like RFID. What it's doing is not collecting information about your location. It's just collecting information on other RFID devices.
Ron, what is an RFID for people who don't know?
RFID, let's say that it's like a small pager, okay, small pager that you carry on your belt. It can be a bracelet or a watch, okay? It's a small device that it's like have a communication, is not taking your GPS location, is just measuring the distance to other devices like him. So it's like a box of an airplane, and this device always collect the last 14 days from all of the devices that stood 2 meters, more than 15 minutes in a short range to them. So now how we convince the people to go with it, we do something like this. We put a gatekeeper. A gatekeeper is another device that we can put in the entrance to the hotel, in the entrance to the dining room, in the entrance to the lobby, in the entrance to every public facility, a mall, for example, that we want to monitor people inside. And the big advantage of this system is that this RFID device is not doing anything unless one of the people is sick. And if one of the people is sick, then we upload all of the details to the cloud, and we collect all of the other devices that were in a short range to this device, and only they will go to quarantine. So imagine, today without the device, without the biocontact, if someone is sick in a mall or in a stadium, all of the people inside will go to quarantine. It can be 1,000 people. It can be all the workers of a factory. It can be all workers of an hotel. With this biocontact device, under regulation, of course, only the people who will locate that were in the short range, only them will go to the quarantine. And this is a huge advantage to the economical situation, and to avoid thousands of people to send them to quarantine. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about the other layer, because now until now I talked about the national layers and municipal layers, or maybe a hotel. Now I would like to go about what Ray said. When we secure a facility, let's take for example a hotel, and for example now we want to see the body temperature of the people who is going inside the place, to try to locate people who are already got some fever. So for this one, we have two different technologies, and it depends of the entrance to the place. If the entrance to the place is controlled and it's one by one, like you have a carousel or you have an automatic door that you can open, then we will use a personal tablet that actually do facial recognition and measuring the body temperature. And if it's okay, you can also see if it's a worker of you, because it's see the face recognition, it will automatically open the door or the carousel. But you know that in some places you are not going to measure one by one because you don't want to jam the entrance. Let's talk about entrances to hospitals, to big hotels, to the airport. Then we have another special solution, and this one is a thermal camera that actually can manage up to 100 people all together. And the main issue that every person that is walking through this camera is actually will have a virtual temperature on his head. And the guard will see immediately if someone gets fever, he will get the siren and he will mark up, and then we know that one of the people is infected. So we try to measure the body temperature in both ways and see if someone ill is trying to go and get inside our facility. Then we are doing the disinfection tunnel. The disinfection tunnel is actually a fogger. Imagine a fogger when you are in the Disney World, in the row, and there's a fog of water spraying all over you. But in the tunnel, we are not spraying, of course, water. We are spraying materials that are doing the disinfection, and each country, of course, choosing their own materials by their own regulation. So actually we have the solution. We have the tent. It's a tent, it's like a balloon tent that you can operate it immediately and pump air inside this tent. And then people will go inside the tent and the fogger will spray the liquid on their clothes, on their body, on the bags. So if the people have some infection or viruses on his surface, like the clothes or the bags, it will be disinfected because of the liquid. Then the people go inside, and you can ask me, okay, Ron, but this guy is sick. He's carrying the virus in his lungs, and now he's inside because you did disinfection. Maybe he didn't get fever, or maybe he took some Acamol, and then he go inside. What are you going to do? So first of all, we try to reduce. We cannot, say we control the disease in 100%. So then we are talking about the ozone products and the ion products for disinfection, the air inside a room, okay? And for this, we have very, very good solutions that actually doing like the nature do with the air. You know that ozone is 3.0. I'm not going to talk more deeply about the ozone technology, but actually we have a device. Ray, can you bring a device that we can show? We have a small device. It's like a box. We have it in our office. We do all the time disinfection after meetings. And this device, we just plug it. You can see here, okay? We just plug it to the electricity. And inside this device, there are corona plates. Not because of the corona. It was called a lot of years before the corona, came to our world. But actually there is a ventilator that sucking 500 liters of air all the time through the corona plates, and the corona plates are actually doing the ozone technology and clear the air. Now, I can tell you that our expert to the ozone is my colleague from Brazil. So I think that if we want to talk a little bit about the disinfection with the ozone and the ions, Peter, so maybe we can introduce my colleague George from Brazil, and he will explain, because we already sent the units to Brazil. We talked to the Ministry of Health over there, and George can give a good example how a country plan to be disinfected with the ozone products. So maybe we will give George. Yes.
George, unmute yourself. Great. And Bem-vindo. So introduce yourself. Tell us just a few words about who you are, and then some of the stuff that you're doing in Brazil. I believe it's in São Paulo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. I am in São Paulo. Hi, everybody. Hi, Peter. How everybody? It's a pleasure to be with you. My name is George Augustowski. Augustowski is not a Brazilian typical name or surname, because I was born in Uruguay. But Uruguay isn't also a typical, Augustowski is not typical in Uruguay too. My parents came from Poland. So we are all over the world here, and I will talk a little bit about ozone. Ozone, do you hear me clear?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes.
You're doing great.
Ozone is something fantastic. Why it's fantastic? Because it comes in the nature. What Ron and the company we work, they just make this device that Ron showed to you. It seems single, it seems a box, but you have a lot of technology inside this box, okay? Ozone you have in nature, you have the ozone in the earth. Where after a rain, sometimes, I don't know how was the hurricane, but after a rain, you can say, you feel some smell in the air that you don't know what is this smell. We say smell of rain. This smell of rain is ozone, okay? And ozone it reacts very quickly. So you have ozone, but you leave it in nature, and in some minutes or less than this, sometimes seconds, it becomes oxygen again. So it's not bad. It doesn't. You will not stay together when it's generating ozone, but after it becomes oxygen very quickly. So what is the advantage of ozone? What is this fantastic? Is that it cleans, or you didn't like the sterilize, okay? But here we say also sterilization. We say also for human beings, but sterilization is to kill viruses, to kill bacteria. So let's say the dentist can put their devices inside a sterilization box. Here we make sterilization. Why we say sterilization? Because when you kill, let's say 100%, we cannot say that any device will kill 100, but it kills 99.9, let's say. When you kill 100%, destroy 100% of viruses or bacteria, then we say here it's sterilization. Well, ozone makes this. So we are implementing, Brazil is very big, okay? So we are studying with government, with companies, how to implement, and mostly for touristic areas, also for hotels, public transportation. There is a lot of applications. Ozone together with ionization. I would not also get into details, but ozone cleans the room, but you will not stay when ozone is working. It doesn't matter if you breathe a little bit ozone. but we will not stay while it's generating ozone. In 20 minutes, you clean a room. Let's say, I'm not a big room. You clean, or more time if it's bigger. Okay, but just to have an idea. To sterilize or to clean 100% of bacteria and viruses, including the corona that makes the COVID. Let's say a room of a hotel, it's 10, 15 minutes, for example, to clean. Person that from the room cleaning, let's say, put the device, you saw the device, it's portable, and it cleans in 15, 20 minutes. Oh, sorry, in a room of hotel, 10 to 15 minutes, okay? Then it's clean, it's no viruses, no bacteria. It's much better that somebody brushing, or you cannot, let's say, clean everywhere inside the places, you cannot, but this is like a gas. So you clean, it penetrates everywhere, and then you clean. This is fantastic. And to keep, let's say somebody infected went there after it's cleaned, okay? Then you keep it with ionization. It's another kind of device. You put in there, this is good for a human being. You can put inside a car, positive and negative ions in the air that also keep from viruses, okay? So that's it. So we are working here very hard in the tourism area, okay, segments, but also, and as I told, public transport, but we are studying the next step. As Ron and Roy mentioned, we will stay with this virus for a long time. We hope no, but we have to think about this. So we are thinking the next step, when you have the classrooms to clean and to keep, even clinics, doctors, dentists, beauty clinics, and sure, offices, malls, everywhere. So this is what we are focusing and working hard here. And in many levels, you know, Brazil is very big, very huge country. Also for tourism, you know, we have 9,000 kilometers of beaches, of coast, let's say. But Brazil is like many countries inside, like more different than United States. United States, you have a lot of states, but Brazil is you have many difference. And the way of doing this everywhere, the rules, the parameters are different. So we are working in all of this. I gave just an overview. You know? We have the pandemic here is also, we don't know if we are in the second wave because we are still in the first wave, but the plateau is still very high. Sure, Brazil is big. We have 220 million inhabitants, but we have 1,000 deaths per day nowadays. So this is dramatic. But sure, if we're thinking in absolute numbers, so we are in a plateau. But this plateau that everybody expects that then will decrease is taking too much different from other countries. So we believe we are having the second wave together with the first wave. So this was an overview. I don't know if if Roy or Ron want to complement anything or any questions that anyone would like to make.
We'll get to questions just a little while. I think that Ron had somebody else he wanted to say. I think one of the points that you made, which was really essential, is we don't know what will be with COVID, what its future will be. Maybe we'll have some sort of magic medicine. Maybe we'll have some sort of magic vaccine. Maybe nothing. No one knows. What we do know is that in the world of tourism, approximately every 10 years, we have a different pandemic. And so it seems to me the important things is not to get stuck thinking about a particular pandemic, but rather to develop good public health policy and have the equipment to deal with whatever other pandemic may happen. So those pandemics are now coming closer in time, one to the other. Because of world tourism and we travel from one place to the other, it's very easy to infect from one part of the world to another part of the world. And that means that the use of technology as a way of combining with public policy and with tourism security and the good training will create extra layers. The Israelis like to call it a traffic light, so it would be, that's the way they want to call it, that's fine. But it will create a system where we will be able to handle new pandemics as they come down the road, because they will. When they will come, we don't know. That they will come, it's only a question of when, not a question of if. So Ron, would you like to introduce your fourth guest? You have to
yeah, I'm not sure. I cannot see him, but is Raj here from Sri Lanka? I didn't see him joining us.
Raj, are you here? Okay, well, if he isn't, we only have about 20 minutes until the end, and this might be a great, there are already some questions coming, and if you have a question that you'd like to ask three guests, this would be a good time to ask those questions and come up with ideas. And certainly one of the things is that many of these types of techniques that you've spoken about are being used one way or the other in different parts of the world. So I know that you don't see these as particular single events, but rather as a total pattern. Maybe you could just talk a little bit about how this all works together as a seamless pattern to create good public health and how that impacts tourism. So I don't know if any of you, the three of you, would like to mention that, or if not, I can help you a little bit, but either Roy or Ron.
I can talk also about Brazil.
Or George. Okay. So
okay, maybe only few words, because in Israel for many years we work under a concept of how to secure big places, how to secure public places against a kind of terrorism, suicide bombers, etc. And when the pandemic came to our region, actually we are not forgetting the main threats, but we add it as another main threat. And because we already got guards, so when we add the technologies, and for example, we put every technology, we can put a screen and the guard will see the body temperature, the guard will get an alert. If we put the biocontact, so we will put another device to see who is coming, and we have the gatekeeper. So the technologies are not working by themselves. We add it as another protection layer. And I think that George talked also about the public transportation. When we deal with the tourism, we can implement those elements also in the airplanes. We can implement those elements also in the vehicles and the public transportations from the airport to the hotels, and then in the taxis, and in all of the places that people are always replacing with other people. And this not going to actually come instead of the PPE. The PPE is the personal protection equipment, the mask and the gloves and everything. But this is another layer of security, and we think, and hopefully in Israel, everybody will use those technologies because, it's here. They just have to have a decision in the governmental level to have it in all of the public places. And hopefully in other countries, if they are adopt those kind of technologies, they can be very, very effective in the war against this pandemic.
So really, on some level, what you're saying is that we need to see health integrated within the totality of a security plan. So that, and that's when we speak about the idea of surety. This is where we bring safety, security, health, reputation, the way people see things together. And if they're all working in concert, that makes a place safer, but also healthier at the same time. And so I think that's a really essential point. Is there someone who would like to ask a question? If you raise your hand, we'll see it up there. Or, I don't know yet if there's any question. One person wrote in. I don't know who the person is, but it doesn't really matter. This person said, this is what the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency says concerning the use of ozone. If used at concentrations that do not exist in public health standards, ozone applied to indoor air does not effectively remove viruses, bacteria, mold, or other biological pollutants. Then another person writes, some data suggests that low levels of ozone may reduce airborne concentrations and inhibit the growth of some biological organisms, while ozone is present. But ozone concentrations would have to be 5 to 10 times higher than public health standards allow before the ozone would decontaminate the air sufficiently or prevent survival and regeneration of the organisms. So maybe you want to comment on that, because here's somebody who's kind of challenging the whole concept of the ozone system. And I think that's very valuable to, for you to make your comments.
Yes.
Maybe George, I think is your ozone specialist.
As you like, Ron. But please, we talk together. You correct me if I miss anything. But that's it. He's if I would say he's right or wrong face to our technology. Okay, I'm done. I would say yes and no. It's I'll make a kind of joke, but this is not a joke. Gasoline is danger for a human being to drink or to put fire or to breathe.
Yes.
But we have gasoline every day in our cars. So this is the same. It's like a cleaning product that you use also. It's not nice for a human being. So ozone in the exact, first of all, the first part of the question, if it kills or not viruses and bacteria, okay? Bacteria is more difficult than virus. But
Yes.
the problem with the threat now is the virus. It kills both. You must have the right concentration. If I'll give you a number, it will not make sense for you, but our device generates precisely 7 grams per hour in an environment. So this is adjusted, and you don't change this. This is sufficient by the time. That's what, when I say a small room of a hotel or a bigger room, it's a question, it's time that you leave. Okay, when you leave this exact time, you will make a saturation of the air. Okay, now let's talk about, and then you kill. Okay, it penetrates. It's better than, for example, UV or others, ultraviolet, because in ultraviolet you have shadows and it can burn. It's good for food or something like this, or to pass through. Ozone, no, it's a gas that penetrates everywhere. But sure, you will not stay inside. There are limits to stay breathing ozone. It doesn't mean that you will breathe and you will be bad, let's say. No, you can breathe, but just it's not nice to breathe, okay? And then after this, so if you handle it in the right way, for example, our device, if you put the person that is cleaning the room, he puts there for 10 minutes. It has a timer. You put a timer, close the room, go out, 10 minutes. But if you want to open the door and see what's happening, it will not make any problem, okay? 10 minutes, then the timer stops. Then you wait a little bit, okay? You wait some time, then get in and put the ventilation or open the window. Then it's okay. So it's effective. There are studies in universities. We have a lot of certificates. Okay, it's effective against virus, including the corona from the H1N1 and the other corona, because it's the same family. They didn't have time to make
the common cold is a form of corona. So
yes,
so there's lots of forms of corona.
Yes, the COVID is the illness, and corona is the virus or the mutation of the virus. Yes, and then so it's the same corona of the other pandemics that we had. So against, we didn't have time to attest, let's say, laboratories, institutes, universities, medical scientists, to make that all the testing, but they test with the other corona for a long time, and it kills more than 99%. I don't have precisely if it's 99.6, something like this.
So I think what we're seeing here is an issue which is a real big debate in the tourism industry, which is how much time needs to be when you in hotels. How much time you need to allow the room to be unoccupied? How much time do you want between one guest to another? And many places are not allowing people to come into a room for 2 or 3 days afterwards. So what you're arguing is that the use of ozone would mean that you could be out of the room, let's say at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you could easily reoccupy that room. That would double your hotel space.
Exactly.
And what I'm trying to show, therefore, is an economic relationship between health issues and tourism economic issues. And if we only look at it from a health standard, or we only look at it from an economic standard, then we're really missing the two sides that have to be done. I think, Ron, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I would like to add, can you hear me, Peter?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So just to add on top of what George said, when we use ozone, we always use safety regulation. We know the size of the room, we know how much time we need to disinfect this room, and then we activate it or with a timer or just plug it to the electricity, and after 15 minutes, 20 minutes, take it out. Then we open the window and we can immediately go inside. Now, what the people wrote in their comments is actually correct. We don't want people to stay in a room more than 15, 20 minutes when the ozonator is working. And we use it like a cleaning. So like, if you're going inside and sweep something with chemicals, and now you do disinfection to the surfaces, you never can go to the air condition. And we talk now that the virus is airborne. So when you breathe and the air condition is operated, most of the time it's airborne, and it can go, to the air conditioned tunnels, and only the ozone system actually take the air from all over the place and the room and the air condition and do the disinfection all over. Now, remember another thing, we have few products. If we need to put a disinfection product with people in the room, we will prefer to put the sterilizer. And the sterilizer is another machine that don't work with the ozone technology, work with the ions technology, the negative and positive ions, like in the nature, like in the Amazonas, in the heavy rain. This is doing the disinfection of the ions. And this machine actually can work in rooms with people inside, okay? So the ozonator, we have to replace it to room by room with the cleaner in the hotel. The sterilizer, we can take one to each room because we must work them, let them work 24/7. It's small machines, they take much less air, but they must work all the time, and then you can get the air free. Of course, if some of the participants will want later to have materials or papers or scientific articles about it, we will be more than happy to share our knowledge with them.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Anyone else have a question that they'd like to discuss or a point? If not, we probably will bring this to a conclusion fairly quickly. Any last words from, Alexandra, please. I see someone raised her hand, so let's
Just
see
unmute yourself, Alexandra.
Yeah. Alexandra, unmute yourself, please, and ask your question.
There you go.
Hear me, yeah? Okay. Can you
Alexandra, are you there?
Yes. Yeah, we hear you fine.
Okay,
Go
hi.
ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. I really like the presentation, and I think it's a great equipment that you guys are talking about. But I wonder if you could tell us a bit more about the prices. I'm sure that the prices depends on the size of the facility that the equipment will be used in. But if you can just give us some ideas about the price of the devices and everything. That's my question.
Okay, so like everything, there's always, especially in tourism, money always comes in. And so are these for free? Are they cost of how does it work? I don't know, Ron, probably you want, maybe be the person who wants to speak.
First of all, regarding the the thermal camera, that is good. It catch up to 100 people at once. The range is between 3 meters to 7 meters. It's already located in Israel in hospitals, older people houses, national bank. The price of this system that include computer, software, and the camera itself, it can be around $4,000 US, ex-works. Today they developed just a new one that can, the thermal camera that you spoke about is for indoor, and it can detect the heat of the body. They have now, by the way, everything that we spoke about is made in Israel. Okay, the thermal camera made in Israel. The ozone sterilization system made in Israel. So this is, by the way, the brand of our company. It's the Israeli experience and Israeli knowledge and Israeli products. So back to the thermal camera. Today we have a new camera that developed in the last couple of weeks, that it's also good to outdoor, and can detect, do also the face recognition, meaning they specifically measure the heat of the face of the people and not all the image, all the body. So this is regarding the thermal. Regarding the ozone sterilization unit, the ozone system itself, it will be around $750 US. For the basic one, it comes with a timer that you can set it up to 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, according to the time and the size of the room that you need to sterilize. And the small one, it's $300 US. The EON system, that by the way, we started to put them, the first place that we put, it's like a big air-conditioned box that you put inside the room. We put one of them in Eilat city, in a yeshiva, kollel, of Orthodox students. It's for a very big room, and we put 4 systems inside the room that they can continue studying while the system is working. That can be around $4,500–5,000 US for each unit. So this is the big one, and it goes down to a very small system that will be around $400 US. You can put it in a bus, in a car, a train, small places that you want it to operate while people are inside. The sterilization, disinfected, tunnel, we sold it around $3,500. It's the tunnel itself and the fogger, not including the material, because it's changed from country to country according to the regulation. So we're not taking care of the material, the disinfected material, but we supply the tunnel and the fogger in a one package system. The last one that Ron spoke about was the biocontact, and this is according to the quantity, to the amount of devices that the specific facility need, from tens to hundreds of like small beepers that you put on the person itself.
Alexandra, did that more or less answer your questions?
Yes, yes.
It did, perfectly.
Actually, I do have one more question, which I'm embarrassed to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
To do it. Okay, how do you actually fill in those devices with ozone? There should be ozone inside, but how do you fill them in with ozone?
Yeah. So you're not filling it with anything. As I said, there are corona plates, and those plates doing like thunders, okay?
Okay.
The thunders are creating the ozone. It's all from the nature. So regarding regulation, when you use ions or you use ozone, you don't need FDA. This is not a medical equipment. This is equipment from the nature, and it's using the nature to disinfect the viruses from the nature. This is the magnificent issue of those products, because you don't actually put any chemical material. You don't use chloramine or other materials that can be dangerous. You just have to look for the safety regulation when you use the ozone. That's it.
That's really.
But the main issue, let me just add something, please. Yes. The main issue is that this device is very precise what the other person asked for. Let's say the quantity of ozone, that's the main, because you can find, let's say, nowadays you can find some industries that produce ozone, but not with this precision, okay? This device has all the standards, the international standards for using. So this is something very important.
That's wonderful.
Besides this, you don't need a technician to use it.
And I think that's really a high point. It's 3 o'clock, or 3 o'clock in Texas, where it's the end of the hour, wherever you happen to be, and probably 11 o'clock in Israel, and I don't know what time it is in Hawaii right now, but 10 o'clock in the morning.
So, 5 o'clock afternoon.
Yeah, so this is a wonderful time maybe to bring this to an end. We will be putting this on YouTube, so you'll be able to see it again. It'll be on please go to our rebuilding.travel site, and you'll be able to see it there. I want to thank Ron and Roy and George for all of your efforts. I think you've really created a very interesting session. And really the important thing I want people to also get from this is tourism security is many-sided. And today, one of the important things that they're bringing up to us is the need to have good technology. And that technology, I think Ron probably hit a home run when he said the combination of technology with knowledge, with good planning, with security, with safety, creates a total surety package. Now, again, I think all three of our speakers emphasized there is no 100% protection in the world, and the world is a changing place. But if we stay ahead of it, we try to create and use our brains, our technology our sense of caring, then we'll create a tourism industry that is not looking backward toward the 20th century, but looking forward to the 22nd century. So I want to thank everyone for a really wonderful experience. Thank you for sharing some of your knowledge, your techniques, your information. I'm sure people will really appreciate it. This will be on Facebook. It will be seen across the world. And I want to pass it back to my colleague, Juergen.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. This was really a fascinating session. And Peter, just to add just one thing, at all our sessions, regardless to rebuilding, reopening, and all these other platforms we have, everything will be on livestream.travel, our new website, what kind of collects all our videos and podcasts. And of course, everyone who's on the session and had registered, we had 127 people registered. They will be receiving a copy automatically by email. And we encourage everyone to go to rebuilding.travel, click on upcoming events. There's a lot more in the pipeline. If anyone wanted to be featured in our future event, just contact us, go to one of our websites, click on contact, and you can tell us what you might be able to contribute. And again, I wanted to thank everyone for participating. Make sure if you have a business in the travel and tourism industry, or you represent a destination, look at our safertourismseal.com and encourage others to sign up for the seal. That's what we're promoting right now. And we hope we can help everyone with information and tips specifically in regards to travel and security. Very finally, our resilience.travel website will summarize these type of initiatives, including specifically initiatives we discussed today, for everyone to share and to understand and also to forward to others. So we will have a session, probably hopefully with the help of Ron and his team, we can introduce also on that website. Again, aloha from Hawaii, and thank you for—
Or actually, Juergen, as this goes from Israel to Hawaii, we probably should say shaloha, which is when we put shalom and aloha together. So wishing everybody shaloha, good morning, good night, good afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.